Good morning, everyone. Let's take a moment to reflect. Have you ever caught yourself thinking, I'm not good enough, or this is just how things are? If you're anything like me, you've likely had those moments of self-doubt. We all have. The inner critic that whispers, you're not capable, you don't have what it takes, can be deafening. But here's the truth. The words you tell yourself every single day have the power to shape the life you live. They're not just random thoughts. They are powerful commands that guide your actions, influence your feelings, and ultimately dictate the direction of your life. Think about it for a second. We live in a world that is constantly changing, especially as we head into 2025. It feels like things are speeding up, doesn't it? From technology advancing at an exponential rate to the demands on our personal lives intensifying. It can sometimes feel like we're caught in a whirlwind. But the one thing that can help us stay grounded, centered, and focused amidst the chaos is our mindset. And our mindset begins with the thoughts we choose to embrace every single day. It's so easy to let the noise of the world drown out our own inner voice. We allow fear, insecurity, and doubt to dictate our actions. But what if I told you that you could take control of the narrative? What if I told you that the stories you tell yourself every day have the ability to change everything? Not just in the short term, but over the course of your entire life. This isn't some motivational fluff or empty talk. It's a proven fact. Your self-talk has the power to shape your reality. When you tell yourself, I am worthy of success, you begin to behave in ways that align with that belief. When you tell yourself, I am a problem solver, not a problem, your brain begins to search for solutions rather than wallowing in despair. When you remind yourself, I am constantly evolving, you open the door to limitless growth and progress. It's about shifting your internal dialogue from one of limitation to one of possibility. And let me tell you, I've been there. There was a time in my life when I struggled with this very thing. I doubted myself constantly. I told myself, I'm not good enough for this, I'll never be successful, and that voice was so loud that it drowned out everything else. I let it control my decisions, my actions, my behavior. It wasn't until I realized the power of self-talk and began consciously shifting my mindset that things started to change. I realized that my worthiness, my success, my happiness, these were all determined by the thoughts I allowed to occupy my mind. And if I wanted to change my life, I had to change my thinking. It's easy to let life circumstances dictate how we feel about ourselves. It's easy to let past failures, current struggles, or the opinions of others determine our self-worth. But I'm here to tell you that you are not defined by your circumstances. I don't care where you've been, what you've done, or how many times you've fallen short. What matters is what you tell yourself today, in this moment, moving forward. You have the power to redefine your future by choosing to believe in your ability to rise above your circumstances. There was a point in my life when I had no money, no support, and no clear path forward. The world seemed to be telling me that I was destined to struggle, that success was for other people, not for me. But here's the breakthrough moment. I realized that the only thing holding me back was my own belief in what I could achieve. I had to tell myself, this doesn't define me. I am more than my current situation, and I can create my own future. And that moment of realization, that shift in mindset, was the beginning of everything. I started making different choices, acting differently, and as a result, things began to change in ways I couldn't have imagined before. You see, the external world will never change until your internal world changes. If you keep telling yourself that you are stuck, that you're not good enough, or that your circumstances will never improve, then guess what? You'll be right. But if you tell yourself, I am capable of overcoming anything, I am worthy of greatness, and my circumstances do not define my potential, your life will begin to reflect that new belief system. Let me ask you this. What would happen if you told yourself every day that you are a problem solver? Not a problem, a solver. The way you look at challenges changes everything. In every difficulty, you have two choices. You can either view it as a roadblock, something that stands in your way, or you can see it as a stepping stone, something that propels you forward. When I started reframing my mindset, I realized that every challenge was an opportunity to grow, to learn, and to become better. and I began to embrace each obstacle as an opportunity rather than a setback, the more I practiced this, the more solutions seemed to appear. Problems that once felt insurmountable became manageable, even easy to overcome. The truth is, life will never stop throwing challenges your way, but it's not the challenges that define you. It's how you choose to face them. Are you going to shrink back in fear, or are you going to rise up with confidence, knowing that you are capable of finding a solution? There's another truth that I want you to remember. You are constantly evolving. Success isn't a destination, it's a journey. Growth is a daily process, and it requires constant learning, adaptation, and improvement. I can't tell you how many times I've failed, but those failures were the greatest lessons of my life. Each time I stumbled, I had the opportunity to evolve, to pivot, to try again. The key to lasting success is a commitment to continuous growth. And growth doesn't happen by accident. It happens because you choose it. You choose to evolve, to push beyond your limits, and to be better than you were yesterday. Think about where you are right now. Are you willing to evolve? Are you ready to step into the next version of yourself, the one that's capable of achieving everything you've ever dreamed of, because it's in your hands? You are not bound by the person you were yesterday. You are bound only by the limits you place on yourself today. You have the power to change your mindset, to shift your thinking, and to transform your life. But it starts with one thing: the words you tell yourself. So today, I challenge you to take control of your inner dialogue. Choose to speak words of power, of possibility, and of success. Choose to believe in your worth, in your ability to solve problems, and in your ability to evolve into the person you are meant to be. You are not a victim of your circumstances. You are the creator of your destiny. Believe it, live it, and watch your life transform in ways you never thought possible. Every challenge that comes your way is an opportunity waiting to be seized. But here's the key. How you approach those challenges determines your success. It's easy to get overwhelmed by problems, to feel like life is throwing one obstacle after another, especially when things don't seem to go according to plan. But let me tell you something I've learned from my own life. You are not the problem. You are the solution. I remember a time when I faced a massive setback in my business. Everything seemed to be falling apart. I could have easily allowed that moment to define me, let it convince me that I wasn't capable or that I didn't have what it took. In fact, I almost did. I found myself thinking, this is it. Maybe I've reached my limit. Maybe I can't overcome this. But then something shifted in my thinking. Instead of seeing the situation as an insurmountable wall, I began to ask myself, what's the lesson here? What can I learn from this? And that's when the magic happened. The problem ceased to be a problem and became an opportunity. When I started to reframe the situation as a challenge to be solved, I suddenly had a sense of control again. Instead of feeling helpless, I felt empowered to take action. I no longer saw myself as someone being attacked by circumstances. I saw myself as someone capable of finding a way through, around, or over the obstacle. In that moment, I understood something that I carry with me every day. If you change the way you see your challenges, you change the way you respond to them, and the way you respond to challenges is what ultimately determines your success or failure. When you look at difficulties as problems, you feel stuck, trapped, and defeated. But when you start viewing them as opportunities to grow, to innovate, and to learn, they become stepping stones rather than stumbling blocks. It's like a shift in mindset. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Ask yourself, what can I do with this? How can I use this challenge to propel me forward? There's always a solution, and you are the one who holds the key to unlocking it. When I began to consistently apply this principle in my own life, everything started to change. I began to feel more confident, more capable. Every time a challenge came my way, I knew I had the ability to navigate it. And guess what? Not only did I overcome the challenges, but I also thrived because of them. The obstacles I once saw as threats became fuel for my growth. They didn't break me, they built me. So when life throws challenges your way, don't shrink back. Don't let them dictate your path. Instead, step forward with the mindset of a problem solver. Ask yourself, what's the lesson? What's the opportunity? And believe me, you'll start to see the solutions appear, often in ways you didn't expect. But there's one more thing I want to leave you with. You see, it's not just about solving problems. It's about becoming someone who solves problems consistently. It's about training your mind to think like a problem solver, day in and day out. When you commit to approaching each situation with the mindset of finding a solution, you begin to rewire your brain. You stop seeing obstacles as roadblocks, and you start seeing them as part of your journey, part of your evolution. You start to realize that life's challenges are not meant to break you, but to make you stronger. And when you fully embrace that, you open yourself up to a world of endless possibilities. So take this mindset with you, not just today, but every single day. You are a problem solver, not a problem. And once you truly believe that, there's nothing you can't conquer. There was a time in my life when everything seemed stacked against me. I felt trapped in a cycle of failure, disappointment, and hardship. The world around me seemed to be sending me a clear message. This is your life. This is all you're going to get. I didn't have the resources or the connections I thought I needed. I didn't have the right job or the right circumstances to make any real progress. I was constantly battling with feelings of inadequacy, like I was a victim of everything that had happened to me. I felt like I was a prisoner to my own past. But I want to tell you something that changed my life completely. Your circumstances do not define you. This lesson didn't come easily. I remember vividly the moments of despair when I believed the stories the world was telling me, that my past mistakes, my financial struggles, and my setbacks were a permanent part of my identity. I believed that my circumstances were all there was for me. I thought, this is who I am. I'm always going to be stuck here. But then one day I had an epiphany. I realized that my past was not my prison. It was just a chapter in my story. And while I couldn't change what had happened to me, I could change how I viewed it and how I responded to it. I began to tell myself a different story. I am not defined by my circumstances. I am defined by my actions, my decisions, and my willingness to grow. This small shift in perspective changed everything. I stopped letting the setbacks I had faced control me. Instead of feeling like a victim of my situation, I began to see myself as the architect of my future. I stopped waiting for things outside of me to change, and I focused on changing what was within my control, my mindset, my approach, and my determination. And once I did that, I realized that my circumstances didn't have the power to hold me back. They were just temporary situations that could be overcome with the right mindset. I want to tell you that no matter where you are in your life right now, you are not stuck. You are not defined by your past, by your mistakes, or by the difficult situations you find yourself in. Your circumstances are fluid. They can change. They will change as long as you stop giving them the power to define you. The truth is, we all have the ability to rise above our challenges, but that can only happen when we stop seeing ourselves as victims of our circumstances and start seeing ourselves as empowered creators of our future. I used to let the opinions of others, the judgments of people who didn't understand my journey, affect how I saw myself. I allowed their perspectives to shape my self-worth. But once I realized that I was the only one who could define me, everything shifted. The power to define your life rests in your hands. Your story is yours to write. You may not be able to control the hand you were dealt, but you can certainly control how you play it. When you stop identifying with your circumstances, you free yourself to grow. You stop being confined to the limitations that others or even you have placed on yourself. You stop letting your past determine your future. I want you to understand something crucial. You are not your job, your financial situation, your relationships, or your failures. You are not the sum of your mistakes. You are not the labels others place on you. You are far more than your current circumstances. The power to change, to improve, to evolve is always within you. I remember a time when I felt stuck in a career that wasn't fulfilling. I didn't have the job I wanted, and I didn't have the lifestyle I dreamed of. But the moment I made the decision to stop identifying with that situation and to start seeing myself as someone capable of achieving more, things began to shift. It wasn't easy. It took effort, persistence, and an unwavering belief that I was capable of something greater. But I refused to let my circumstances define who I was. And because I refused to accept my current situation as permanent, I began to take the necessary steps to change it. There is freedom in realizing that your past doesn't have to determine your future. You can start fresh at any moment. You can choose to redefine yourself, to rewrite your story, and to create the life you truly want. It doesn't matter how many times you've fallen or how many failures you've faced. What matters is what you decide to do right now. If you choose to let go of the belief that you are a product of your circumstances and step into the reality that you are the creator of your own life, you will unlock a power within yourself that you never knew existed. We often think that our circumstances are fixed, but that's not the case. Circumstances are temporary. They can change, evolve, and shift in ways we can't always predict. But the way you see yourself, the way you choose to define yourself, that is yours to control. When you stop identifying with the labels others have placed on you or the limitations you've imposed on yourself, you create a future full of endless possibilities. It's up to you to choose who you want to be and how you want to show up in the world. You are not defined by where you've been, the mistakes you've made, or the challenges you're facing right now. You are defined by your ability to move forward, to adapt, and to transform. Once you make the decision to stop letting your circumstances define you, everything changes. Your future becomes wide open, and you are free to create the life you truly desire. It's time to stop looking at your circumstances as something that limits you and start viewing them as something that can propel you forward. The choice is yours. Your circumstances are not your destiny. You are. The truth is, growth doesn't stop. It doesn't have a finish line, a moment where you've learned everything there is to learn or achieved everything there is to achieve. Growth is a lifelong commitment. It's a constant process of becoming, evolving, and expanding into the next version of yourself. The person you are today is not the person you have to be tomorrow, and the person you will be tomorrow is not the person you will be a year from now. You are constantly evolving, and that is something to embrace, not fear. Let me take you back to when I first started on this journey. I remember the days when I thought I had to have everything figured out. I believed that success meant reaching a point where you could sit back and relax because you'd made it. But as I continued to grow and learn, I realized that this way of thinking was flawed. Success isn't about reaching a destination. It's about who you become along the way. The growth is the success. The person you become in the process is the true prize. There was a time when I was frustrated by my lack of progress. I thought, I should be further along by now. I should have this figured out. I struggled with impatience, constantly comparing myself to others, feeling like I was falling behind. But then something clicked. I realized that growth isn't linear. It doesn't follow a perfect, predictable path. There will be setbacks, there will be failures. But each step, each misstep, and each lesson learned is part of the evolution. One of the most powerful shifts I made was learning to embrace my mistakes, not as failures, but as opportunities for growth. I started seeing every challenge as a lesson, every obstacle as a chance to become more than I was yesterday. Every time I made a mistake, I didn't beat myself up about it. Instead, I asked myself, what can I learn from this? How can I use this experience to grow and evolve? That mindset of constant evolution began to shape my life in ways I couldn't have anticipated. Growth is about understanding that you will never have all the answers. There will always be something more to learn, something more to master, and something more to achieve. And that's the beauty of it. There's no finish line. The moment you stop growing, the moment you stop evolving, is the moment you start stagnating. You see, the person you are today is not the person you are capable of becoming. Your potential is limitless, but it requires you to be committed to your own evolution. This is a lesson I carry with me every single day. You are not a finished product. There is always something to improve, a new skill to master, a new way of thinking to adopt. And that's exciting when you embrace the idea that you are constantly evolving. It opens up the entire world of possibilities. You no longer feel constrained by the person you are right now or the mistakes you've made in the past. Instead, you see every day as an opportunity to grow, to stretch yourself, and to become more than you were the day before. This commitment to growth also means that you have to be willing to step outside of your comfort zone. True evolution doesn't happen when you stay within the safe, familiar boundaries of what you already know. It happens when you push yourself into the unknown. Growth requires you to take risks, to fail, to fall, and to get back up again. It's in that process, that willingness to be uncomfortable, that you begin to expand into the person you were always meant to be. I've seen this principle play out not only in my own life, but also in the lives of many others. People who are committed to their growth never stop learning, never stop challenging themselves, and never stop improving. They are constantly evolving, and that's what makes them unstoppable. The moment you decide to stop growing is the moment you start to plateau, to stagnate. But when you make the decision to keep evolving, when you commit to being a lifelong learner and a lifelong grower, there's nothing you can't achieve. Think about it. Every time you push past your limits, you become someone new. Every time you learn a new skill or gain a new insight or overcome an obstacle, you evolve into a more powerful version of yourself. And here's the thing. Growth doesn't have to be big, dramatic changes every day. It can be small steps, subtle shifts in your thinking, gradual improvements that accumulate over time. It's the consistent daily effort to get better that makes the difference. The small decisions you make today to grow and evolve will compound over time and lead you to exponential success. You see, evolution isn't about reaching a specific endpoint. It's about being in a state of continuous improvement, always striving to become the best version of yourself. This mindset is liberating. When you understand that growth is a never-ending journey, you release yourself from the pressure of perfection. You stop comparing your journey to anyone else's. Instead, you start to focus on your own progress and your own path. The only person you need to compete with is the person you were yesterday. And that's where the true power lies, in your willingness to keep evolving. When you commit to this journey of constant growth, you begin to see every experience as an opportunity for development. No challenge is too great because you know that each obstacle is just another stepping stone toward becoming the person you are meant to be. You become unstoppable not because you have all the answers or because you're immune to failure, but because you are constantly evolving, constantly growing, and constantly becoming more than you ever thought possible. So remember this, you are always evolving. Don't settle for being the same person you were yesterday. Embrace the power of growth, commit to lifelong learning, and welcome the person you are becoming. There's no limit to what you can achieve when you make evolution a priority.